The Chinese drop, popularly known as the water drip torture, is a method of psychological and physical suffering whose apparent simplicity hides a precise cruelty. The procedure consisted of fastening the victim in an immobile position and letting small drops of cold water fall continuously and rhythmically on the same point of the forehead. The frequency and regularity of the drops were controlled by the torturer, who often timed them to fall at identical intervals for hours or days. At first glance, it may seem impossible that a few simple drops could cause harm, but the violence of this technique lies in repetition, time, and the prisoner's total loss of control. Physically, the drop strikes the scalp and skin, causing local muscle contractions and increasing discomfort. More important than the physical impact is the nervous system's response to the constant stimulus. The anticipation of the next drop creates sustained tension, and the body enters a chronic state of alert. As hours pass, anxiety intensifies, sleep becomes fragmented, and reasoning is impaired. The mind tries to predict the rhythm, but the uninterrupted repetition and the impossibility of escape generate panic. In many historical and experimental accounts, prisoners began to exhibit trembling, sweating, rapid heartbeat, disorientation, and episodes of irrational behavior long before any visible injury appeared. From a psychological standpoint, the technique is extraordinarily effective as an instrument of breakdown. It exploits sensory exhaustion and obsession with a repetitive stimulus. The victim begins to focus attention exclusively on the area being struck, losing the ability to think of resistance strategies or to access consolidated memories. The monotony of the sound of the water, isolated from other variables, becomes an auditory and tactile torture. The combination of lost sleep, constant fear, and growing pain can lead to confession, total submission, or mental deterioration that includes hallucinations, delusions, and temporary loss of identity. Historically, the name suggests an Oriental origin, but records about the practice are ambiguous. Sensationalist reports and travelers' chronicles from the 17th century onward spread the idea that torture methods based on rhythmic persistence were used in various cultures. In practice, versions of drip torture appeared in prisons and interrogation centers at different times and places. The technique attracted attention in the 18th and 19th centuries, when debates about the legitimacy of torture arose in legal and philosophical circles. In modern times, the term has also come to describe psychological experiments and metaphors for procedures that mentally wear someone down through repetition and deprivation. The Chinese drop has real medical impact. Beyond the mental disorganization already mentioned, prolonged exposure to cold water in repeated contact can cause local irritation, infection if the skin is continuously damaged, and in extreme cases, can aggravate cardiac conditions through stress. More often, however, the lasting consequences are psychological. Post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic insomnia, generalized anxiety, and persistent cognitive difficulties. Survivors of long interrogations using similar methods frequently reported prolonged identity loss and an inability to trust rhythmic signals or confined environments. The reason the technique became notorious is that it demonstrates something essential about modern torture. Not all barbarity requires obvious physical wounds. Simple tools, when used with time and intent, can produce mental disintegration as effectively as physical mutilation. The Chinese drop is a reminder that torture can disguise itself as an almost innocuous method, using patience and regularity as weapons. Today, discussions around this and other forms of torture serve as a point of reflection on human rights and interrogation practices. The medical community and civil rights advocates emphasize that techniques aiming at psychological breakdown without leaving visible physical marks are equally prohibited and equally harmful. The name and image of the Chinese drop remain a symbol of humanity's ability to turn time and detail into suffering. Knowing about it is not glamorizing cruelty, but recognizing the subtle and dangerous ways institutional violence can operate.